Clap anytime. Thank you. So you've been involved in urban exploring for around about 25 years.
Well, more about 15.
About 15.
Exactly.
That's right. Okay, we'll do that again. So you've been involved in urban exploring in the city of Detroit for about 15 years. And during that time, not only have you introduced yourself to the various sites around the city, you've shown a lot of people else around the city.
Yeah, I kind of gotten a name for myself for showing other people around, other journalists. And I had National Geographic's a crew that works for National Geographic come through for the Drugs Incorporated series.
When was that?
Detroit. That was 3 years ago, I think. And several journalists, Aaron Snedden from Europe, he's like an AP photographer, and what was the other one?
BBC.
Oh yeah, the BBC came through and spent a few days with them, taking them around different sites.
I'll do that bit again. I believe you also showed some people from the BBC around Detroit. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, that was fun. I generally know the sites. I don't know the history of the buildings that well, so I wind up being more of a bodyguard, almost. Not a bodyguard, but someone who knows the sites. I'm a big guy, a little bit intimidating, so they feel better about having somebody along from the area, and I know this. I know where the sites are, where they would want to film. So
I think you make a key point. One of the important things about staying safe in Detroit in general, either as a resident or a visitor or an explorer, is having some local knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, Detroit isn't nearly as dangerous as it's made out to be in the press. It's just not. People just don't know how to handle themselves in Detroit because they're not familiar with it. Anybody who lives here knows how to walk down the street. I mean, we all run into problems now and again, but for the most part, if you've lived here for a while, you know how to handle yourself. And a lot of people don't, and they're nervous, and it shows, and predators feed on fear.
Predators feed on fear. So you'd say it is a livable city, but it has its challenges.
It's changed so much. It's so much nicer. I mean, over the 20 years I've seen it, it was bad 20 years ago. All of, they call it Midtown. It was the Cass Corridor. That was notorious for being the ghetto. Hookers and pimps and all these dive bars, shootings, and that whole area they call it Midtown now. That's all changed.
So that was the legendary Cass Corridor,
Yes, it was.
situated on Woodward Avenue and Cass Avenue.
Yep. South of Wayne State University, down to Cass Park and Temple.
So you'd say that Detroit has safe areas and less safe or even unsafe areas.
Yeah. I mean, the corridor now is a great place to, there's a lot of investment going on. And Dan Gilbert, in Hockeytown or Foxtown, that area, and the Cass Corridor and Foxtown are slowly growing together. They'll eventually join up, and it'll be one big strip of nice, homogenized living, gentrified.
Okay. So can you for a potential visitor to the city of Detroit, can you maybe help them out with a bit of local knowledge by perhaps suggesting which areas are the safer or nicer areas, and of course those that are the less safe or potentially dangerous?
Midtown, Corktown, Woodbridge, Humber Park's not too bad, but it's a fine line there. I can't remember the other one.
Downtown?
Oh, downtown is wonderful. Anything north of there.
What would you say about the far side of Grant Boulevard?
What's that?
On the far side of Grant, travelling up Woodward, travelling up Woodward Avenue, you intersect with Grant Boulevard. Once you get beyond that, does the atmosphere change?
It does a little bit. It's more old school Detroit, but there's still a lot of businesses, going on. It does get a little bit hairier. It's not so, built up, but there is, there's some nice areas.
So broadly, generally, the areas around downtown or close to downtown are safer than once you start venturing further north or west.
Yeah, a lot of the violence happens in the neighborhoods, and I think that's where a lot of it goes on. Up near 7 Mile, and anywhere there's a lot of small houses, that are packed together. You get a lot of young kids, and they all want to prove themselves. They all want to carry a gun. Not all of them, but it's more likely.
What sort of crimes would you mentioned guns? That's an interesting and important point. What sort of crimes would be likely to be going on up in those rougher areas, the sketchy areas that you mentioned? Well, I mean, what would be some of the typical crimes or the more commonly reported crimes?
Well, if I'm out of my element in some other neighborhood where people don't know me, I might get jacked just because I'm white and they don't know me. I'm an easy target, or anybody really. But amongst the neighborhood people, sure, drug dealers ripping off each other and just getting pissed off over whatever problems they have.
So some of the likely crimes might be carjackings, robberies.
Yeah, there's carjackings, robberies. Yeah, there's all kinds. Rape, murders. It happens.
But
It happens in any city.
That's a very good point. Actually, all the American cities have safe and unsafe areas. So hang on, let me just think up a question. I want to ask you about a few more of your favourite plans. Maybe talk about the MCS. Yeah. You can hear me okay? You can hear me okay? Yeah. Okay, so maybe we could just discuss a few more of the famous landmarks around the city. Feel free to discuss any that either are empty and abandoned, or those that are still functioning, or those that have perhaps been through a noticeable refurb. Can you tell me some of your other favourite Detroit landmarks or destinations, either for admiring or exploring or photographing?
Well, probably the most photographed one is Michigan Central Station, the MCS building, down off Michigan Avenue. I'm not sure how tall it is, right? 25 stories tall. Just a magnificent old train station. And, it towers over the west side. And it's completely gutted. And it's a mess inside. They keep talking about fixing it up.
Say that again. They
keep talking about fixing it up, but nothing ever really gets done. They'll put a few windows in it, and then it'll stop. It hasn't really gone anywhere. But it used to be a great place to explore inside.
I believe it's a bit harder to explore.
They fenced it in. You used to be able to just walk right in, and you could walk to the top, and you had a beautiful view of the city. But I think they got it fenced in, so it's not so easy. And they have police patrolling it, or security guards.
So at one stage it would have been a popular spot for anyone to gain easy access and do a bit of exploring. Now it would be more challenging or possibly impossible.
Yeah. Not impossible.
How would you describe the look of the building? For someone that's not familiar with it or hasn't seen it, how would you describe the Michigan Central Station?
I would say early 1900s style architecture. I'm not sure who built it. I believe the same person that did Grand Central Station, though. So in that old school style of large stone and brick.
And do you have any favourite landmarks in the business district of the downtown area?
Oh, I like the Riverwalk. You know, it's always nice to take a ride on the bike down at the Riverwalk. You know, I mean, now there's all kinds of people down there. You know, it didn't used to be like that. You know, the river used to be just a place where boats would pull up. You know, there was nothing there. Now we have this entire big long promenade all along the river with fountains for kids to play in, and merry-go-round, you know, bike rental place, and you know, go down there and fish off the pier.
So they've beautified that area. What was it like before that? Was it a rundown area?
Before it was just there was nothing there. It was just I don't even remember. There was a cement walkway. Just nobody went there. You know, it was next to Hart Plaza, but I don't remember. I could be wrong on that.
What about the Ambassador Bridge? Obviously, Detroit is very close to Canada. The two, of course, being separated by the Detroit River. I believe there's the Detroit Windsor Tunnel and also the Ambassador Bridge, which leads from Detroit across to Canada. Have you ever experienced anything of the Ambassador Bridge?
Well, I've been over a couple times. You know, been through the tunnel, been over the Blue Water Bridge. Nothing very exciting.
Okay, that's good. We'll cut it.